Alright, I wanted to make this video just for anybody in case, someone's interested, wanted to see what this looks like. So here we have my 1992 SC300 factory 5-speed. And I'm going to go over some mods in the NAT. So I've got a Drift Motion 60-to-1 turbo kit. That came with the manifold and the turbo. And then I've got the turbo blow-off valve right there. That's from Drift Motion. That I'm not really liking that one, so I went and bought this Gretty one, and I'll put that on. Hopefully it'll do a little bit better. The kit came with a journal turbo. I recommend a ball bearing turbo. If you can spring for that, great. If not, keeping the journal turbo under 12 psi or under 14. Whatever the factory boost setting is for the Aristo ECU, we'll get to that. It's fine. For the intercooler, I've got a CX Racing single, like they both come out on the same side. So here's the 3-inch outlet, and below is the 2-inch inlet. You can see that right there. There's the outlet for the turbo, and then here's the inlet for the engine. Here's my catch can that's mounted there. And the distributor is deleted, and it's just running as the cam/crank position sensor for the Aristo ECU. And I've got O-side Tiger injectors, 440cc with the adapter. And I've also pulled off the vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator. From what I've seen, some people are saying that gives you an additional 8 psi of fuel pressure. I don't know if that's true, but it seems to be working for me. I haven't had any problems out of it, at least. Here's the oil feed line. That comes from the SC300 bolt right here. And then right here we've got the T for the split. This 1H BSPT 1/8 NPT adapters. These are real cheap on eBay, very good quality. I haven't had any problems. And you can also get one where there's another 1/8 NPT in case you want to run an oil pressure gauge. Right here, because this is a 1992, there's no sensor for the EGR, exhaust gas circulation. So I've got the block-off plates, and then the block-off plate is also where I put my boost gauge, boost sensor right there. So I'm running the Aristo coils, the 3-coil waste spark. And to run that, you have to run the DS62 igniter, or there's a Lexus one, but the whichever one you can get cheapest, they both work. But make sure you get the pigtail. You need that. And let's see what we got going on else here. Oh yeah, here's some SPOW fans. So I decided to run electric fans. You definitely do not have to run electric fans if you don't want to. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with electric fans, and I think it's because they can't get good electric fans. These SPOW fans are great, and that's one of the reasons why I think I've had good success, is that I'm running SPOW fans. I'm running a shroud. I've got some insulation foam between the shroud and the radiator. I've got, a full aluminum radiator. So, really there's no reason why this kind of setup shouldn't work. If you got cheap eBay fans and they're zip tied through the radiator, you're never gonna cool this thing off. It just runs hot, and it runs hot fast. For the cooling, the wires, they're just on their own dedicated circuit. And I'm using the headlight as the ignition signal. So I can turn the fans on and off as I want. Well, I can turn them off as I want. Other than that, this right here is my temperature switch, and it's 160 degrees on, 145 degrees off. And that seems to work. The car will idle and the fans will be on and running, and then if you're not moving, no AC on, so the condenser's not getting hot, then the fans will turn themselves off. So to me, that kind of says like, hey, we're running at a good temperature here. Let's see what else we got in engine bay. Oh yeah, very important. Whenever you get rid of your recirculator, or not the recirculator, but whenever you route these to your catch can and specifically route them away from your intake, because remember this is air with a bunch of oil in it. When you get rid of that, make sure you take this intake apart, take all the lower plenum off, all that stuff. There's going to be a bunch of caked oil in there. You got to use brake clean, you got to use brass brushes, you got to use cloth rags, you got to get all that oil out of there so this thing runs a lot smoother, a lot faster. Here with the butterfly valve, all right, there is a vacuum canister underneath here on stock NAs. When you, it's recommended that you get rid of that vacuum canister and instead run the line from this butterfly valve straight to the manifold. What that will do is, I think it reverses the action of the manifold and gives you long runners when you want them and short runners when you want them. I don't understand all the math behind this, or all the reasons why, but I can tell you that with Ollie SC3's write-up on the Aristo ECU non-VVTi, with the coils and everything that whole thread says to do, this car's drivability is exactly like stock. It's incredible, the drivability this thing had. I turned it on, you know, it fired right up, and after, you know, setting timing correctly, you know, setting the blow-off valve, setting boost, all that stuff, it runs like a champ. And it gets up to 10 psi, and then boom, it takes off like a rocket. That's another thing we got to talk about. Is one of the bad things about these factory 5-speeds is that they come with, you know, the W58. And yes, you can put in a race clutch for a W58, except you know, then your weak point is the transmission. So what I've chosen to do is leave in the stock factory clutch, and whenever my car makes too much power, the clutch slips. So that's my fuse. So that's what's holding me back from, you know, putting down 500 horsepower, is I gotta have this thing be daily. So we'll go into the interior right here. These are RX-8 seats, just pulled in from the junkyard. If you want to know more about that, leave a comment. I can show you how those work and how easy they are to do. Right here, I've got the RX300 from 2001. 2001, I believe, is the only year you can get the 3-spoke wheel with the emblem, chrome emblem in the middle, that is single stage airbag. After that, after 2001, they're not single stage and they won't fit in anymore. This is an RX-8 shift knob. The car is not a 6-speed, it's still a 5-speed, it's still a stock W58. But I wanted this to match the rotor symbol that's in the seats. From Japan, you can get these with a 5-speed with, you know, this is just plastic that's inlaid in there. You can get these with a 5-speed, but they're super expensive. They're dumb expensive. So I'm working on, you know, getting that. Plus, anyway, eventually, the goal is to go with the T56, which is a 6-speed. So, here, this is a radio from a Toyota Tacoma, and its part number is A56823. What's special about this is, you know, the SC300s, they have that 12-disc changer in the back. Well, they go out and, you know, 26 years later, 27 years later, the only parts you're going to find are 12-disc CD changers from other, you know, 27-year-old SC300s, SC400s. So there's no point in using that. You can use the ES300 6-disc changer, but, you know, I'm a big boy. I don't mind putting disc in my radio. So what's special about this, and I think it's all the ones where the part numbers start with A, these are internally amplified. So if you're not an audiophile, you get your amplifier and you can bypass the analog amplifier that's in the trunk. So, and it fits right here, and it fits in here really nice. It looks very stock, and that's what I'm all about. I like having stock modifications, you know, except for the RX-8 seats, but you know, what are you going to do? Super seats are way too hard to find. And it left me this nice big panel for some gauges, my air fuel ratio, my boost gauge. I got to figure out how to fit this panel up in here better, but, you know, we're always working. There are always money pits, and there's always something to fix. That's the way these are. Other than that, I got tint. black seats just because that was what was available from Jerry. And this spoiler, believe it or not, this is not a Lexus SC300 spoiler. This spoiler is from a red, you know, kind of garnet red, like the 2001, 2002 four-door Honda Accords. These things, the color on here is amazingly matched. And you can, you know, anybody can put any spoiler in any car, but this thing, the look of it is just insane, and it looks great. Let's see if I can, yeah, Accord. It's from an Accord, man. Bolts on great. I got 97 tail lights. Got the cool tag, you know, Jesse, you know. IS300 wheels. On the back, I do have spacers. You gotta have, well, you don't have to have spacers, but I wanted them to sit out a little bit more. I know a lot of people don't like those, but on the front, I've got the LS400 big brake kit. And if you want to run LS400 big brake kit, you have to have at least, I think, 17-inch wheels. But IS300 wheels will not clear these brake calipers factory. You have to have at least this 15mm spacer. So that spacer will get you able to run IS300 wheels on your LS400 big brake kit. Whew. Let's see, anything that I would change. Yeah, definitely a lot of things I'd change. The CX Racing Turbo intercooler, you know, pipe kit. That kit is designed to be used with your stock MAF. Don't try to make an NAT with a MAF. It's never going to work. Those MAFs are, you know, well, they're only rated at, you know, 120% duty cycle as is from the factory. So you can't run 10 pounds of boost on them, and these cars don't wake up until you're at least 10. So with the Aristo ECU swap, you can run MAP. Here's the MAP sensor. This is 2JZ GTE MAP sensor, which sucks that you have to run that because they're so expensive. The GM MAP sensors are way cheaper, and you know they have a longer range. What's cool though is you can run the GM intake air temperature sensor, but whenever you're wiring these on, this pigtail is not like the Toyota pigtails, meaning that you can depin it from the male side, pull the connectors out. You have to stick the bare wires through the connector, then crimp on the metal terminals, then pull the wires back through. I made that mistake and had to buy another connector. And if you're gonna run anything like this over the turbo, make sure you get this high temp silicone fiberglass braid. This stuff's great. It withstands like 500 degrees. That's the only way to go if you got to run anything near the turbo. Let's see, another thing I can talk about, the wastegate. Let's see, let me get the light. The wastegate on this thing is just a stock drift motion one, but for whatever reason, like it didn't fit where it was supposed to fit. So luckily, I personally have a welder, so I was able to, you know, fix it. Man, this sucks. But anyway, there's a little hole between the cross member it's supposed to go down. Well, it doesn't match up there. So if you have to, you can leave the pipe that goes, you know, like the dump pipe from the wastegate. You can leave that off and then drive to a shop and have them fix it. But I had to modify that. I had to make the turn sharper than what they had originally given me. And the CX Racing kit, I basically use, it's supposed to, you know, bolt up for a MAF. Well, you know, sure it does for a MAF, but when you go MAP, you have to change things around. So I drilled the hole, and I basically just chopped up the CX Racing kit and made my own kit, and it's been working out really good. I had one pop off, and so I fixed that, and it's been doing fine since. I guess that's it. If anybody has any questions, you know, please let me know. I'd love to start answering questions for anyone. I'd love to prevent, you know, someone else from making the same kind of mistakes I make, you know, drop a comment. Thanks for watching this video. Later.